Mhm, mhm, mhm. Okay, okay. All right, guys. Hello, guys. Hello. Okay, so hello, good evening. So once you're coming in, please indicate if you can hear me. Let me know. So I'm just going to wait for people to join the stream. Okay. So I'm going to wait for people to join the stream. All right. Let's see. Dicta, you're welcome. Chris, you're welcome. Okay, good evening. Can you hear me? Please let me know. Okay. Sorry, can you hear me? Let me know, please. Catherine, you're welcome. Okay, yes. Thank you so much. Is my sound okay? Okay, yes. Thank you so much, Chris. Oh, Martins. That's my papa. Thank you so much. Kathy, you're welcome. Hey, Catherine. Yes, okay. So thank you so much. So we can continue. All right, guys. Welcome to another live class for today. So guys, so in today's class, I'm going to be showing people how to cut. Chioma, you're welcome. Good evening. Kathy, okay. Mwamba, Chris, Obomari, yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dada. Thank you so much, Dad. So you can see, this is what we are going to be learning how to cut today. So we're going to be doing a pattern. Frances, you're welcome also. All right, so it is a simple process. So for this, we're going to be using like the simplest and easiest pattern to do this. So we're going to, if you take a good look at it, you see that it is a straight dart that was used. So we're going to use the neck dart, okay? So it's a simple pattern. As a beginner, when you am done with today's class, you will be able to draft a keyhole, okay? So but the thing with keyhole is that they have different styles of keyhole. Thank you so much. Those of you that are giving me love hearts, thank you guys. So now I'm going to readjust my camera so we can just start already. All right. So those of you that are just joining me, you're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm just looking for the best, like the best way to set the camera so it captures the whole of the table. Okay. I think I think this is okay. So now what we're going to do. Let's start with the back pattern, okay? If you have been following me, you notice that most times you see I normally draft the front pattern and I will not use the front to cut the back. But today let's draft the back pattern. So for the back pattern, it's a basic bodice pattern. So we're just going to be using the basic top. So the first thing we're going to do for a beginner, if you want to draft a pattern like this, the first thing you are going to do is you take your, when you bring out your pattern paper, just make a line just almost on top of it. So you just rule a straight line. So the essence of this line is going to serve, is going to give you, is going to, it has a dual, yes, let me use that word, a dual or double, what do you call it, function. The first one is going to serve as a start line and then it's going to start as a shoulder line, okay? So now the next point you want to do, that's now this line, now this is the shoulder line. The next line is this line, which is your bust line. So for the bust line, For this, I'm going to use 10 inches for this. Okay, so I'll mark my 10 inches, and then the next line is the under bust line. Okay, so this is a back pattern, so this under bust line is negligible, and then what we have now is our half cut, which is 18. Okay, so the bust line is 10 inches, like I said, so that you indicate by marking a line, and then the next line is the under bust line, which is 13. You mark your line also on that part, and then the last line is the waistline or your half cut. That's the part where you are going to cut. Okay, so this is 18, so you place that, and then the next measurement you are going to do now, we're going to start imputing our measurement. First, we're going to add our shoulder measurement. Okay, so for the shoulder part, we are going to use 14 inches, so you divide 14 into 2, you are going to have 7. Just add 1 inch to it as an allowance, and then from this point you're going to come down by 1 inch or by half of an inch. Okay, so when you mark, just place a point there, and then you just connect that into that starting line, which is also the shoulder line. And then the next thing, you are going to place your round armhole. So for my round armhole, I'm going to be using 15. So I'll divide 15 into 2. I'm going to have 7.5. So I'll mark that 7.5 like this, and then I am going to connect this with a straight ruler like this. Okay, and then I will just rule a line here. So this line can also serve as your chest line. So the next measurement we are going to add now, we're going to start taking out our full bodies measurement. So like I said, this is so, thank you. You are giving me gifts. So the next measurement we are going to add is our bust measurement. Okay, before the bust measurement, let's add our armhole. So we have 7.5 here. So that's 7.5. I just want to take the midpoint of it. So that is why you can see I'm bending my ruler that way. So when I bend it, this is a back armhole. So the next thing, I'm going to take my bust measurement. So for my bust, I'll use 36 inches for my bust. So you divide 36 into 4, I'm going to have 9 inches. So that 9 inches, I'll place it here, and then I'll add like 1.5 inches or 2 inches for my allowance. And then the next thing, the same thing that I have up here, I'm going to mark it on this bust line. And then the next, so when I mark it like that, the next thing, I want to connect this line together like this. Okay, so you take your pattern curve this way, and then you are going to place it. So you place it in such a way, let it hit all the points, because this is the back armhole, so we're not coming in. Okay, so just note. So I'm trying to set it properly. Yes. So now I've marked out our armhole. So the next line we are going to mark. So those of you that are just joining us, you're welcome. Please hit on the like button. I would appreciate that for you guys to do that. So the next, okay, now we have our line here. So I'll just use broken lines to bring it down. And then the next line is our under bust line. Okay. So for the under bust line, our under bust is 30 inches. So you divide 30 into 4, you're going to have 7.5. And then I'll add 1 inch for my allowance. Sorry, for my dart. Yes, for my dart. And then I'll add the same 1.5 inch allowance that I use for the bust area. I'll mark it that way, and then I'm going to use my ruler like this. If you notice that it is not very straight, so I need to get that line straight from that point down. Okay. So once I get it that way, the next thing, I want to mark my waist measurement. So for the waist of this is 32. So 32 divided by 4, I'm going to have 8. I'll mark the 8 inches here, and then I'll still add my 1 inch allowance, and then add my 1.5 inch allowance. So this is a simple process. This is how you actually draft your back piece. It is a simple process. Okay, so you can see how simple this is. And then for the neckline, we're just going to go with a simple 3 inches width neckline, which is like the safest neckline. And then the length of the back neckline, so you can determine the back. So most times the back neckline, they are always high, so let's go by three. Let's go with three 3.1, as in, sorry, 3 by 1, and that's what I wanted to say. So 3 inches width and 1 inch height. So you can see this is our back pattern. I am going to cut this out right now. It's a simple process, so we are done. The next part we are going to do is our front piece. Okay, so I'm trying to get my paper scissors. So now I'm going to cut this off like this. So for those of you that don't know how to draft, I think after this you should be able to do this. Take a pattern paper. If you don't have pattern paper, look for newspaper. I wonder, do people even still read newspaper these days? Yes, I think they do, because I saw somebody selling newspaper the other day. So you can see our back piece. So now let's keep our back piece and let's work with our front piece. So our front piece is like the gang of today's tutorial. Okay, so now all of those lines that I added before, I'm going to add all of them afresh for the sake of those people that are just joining us, and even at that we need them because they are going to serve as guide for this. Okay, so you can see, so I'm adding the shoulder line, and then after the shoulder line, the next line we are adding is our bust line. So the next line we're adding is our bust line. So I'll mark my bust line here, and then I'll mark my under bust here, and then I'll mark my half cut here. Okay, so I just use those dots so we don't waste so much time. So now I need to go and get a marker. Okay, so now I'm trying to, okay, so I'm just marking them. So I'm just marking them. I need to get a marker. Please check that cupboard and give me marker. Okay, so I've sent someone to get it for me. How these things they dry up so fast. All right, so now let's continue. So like I said, if you are just joining us, you're welcome. Please hit on the like button of this video. If you are just joining us, like the video. Okay, so I'm changing the color that I have here is blue. So I'm just trying to use the blue to highlight it properly because this is the major part of the tutorial. So we need to all right. So now the next thing we're going to do now, let's start drafting our dart. So for us to draft our dart, you need your bust span. So this is your bust span. From this nipple point to the other is your bust span. So for mine, you can see it's about 7.5. So I'll add half of an inch to it. That's going to give me 8. So when I have that 8 inches, I'm going to come down on this part. Okay, yes, I'm going to come down on this part. I'm going to mark that half. I'll mark it here, which is 4 inches, and then 4 inches, and then 4 inches. So you both should watch this tutorial properly. So like I said, we're using the shoulder dart, so you mark the 4 inches here. Okay, yes. So that now, after marking it, I'm going to connect it with a straight ruler like this. So after connecting it with a straight ruler, the next thing now we want to take out our dart. So to take out our dart, that's after, this is the beginning of the process of taking out the dart really. So now you come to your under bust line here. So for this, we're going to take out a dart of about 2 inches. Okay, or 1.5 inches. So this, you can actually divide the dart into two parts, but for this, since it is a keyhole, I'm not going to divide it. So I'll put my dart in one side. So I'll mark my 2 inches here. So you can see the dot of marking my 2 inches. Yeah. After marking it, I'll just take my pattern curve like this, and then I will mark it. Okay. Sorry, guys. We are doing sorry, we're doing a shoulder dart. So if you are doing a shoulder dart, we must divide the dart. Okay. So for us to do that, sorry. So don't put it on one side. Please note to divide your dart. Put one here, and then bring the other one to this side. Okay. Yes. Okay. I almost forgot. I wanted to use shoulder dart, because this one is a neck dart, so it must run through. I actually wanted to use shoulder dart, but this is a neck dart. So that 1 inch, if you don't understand, please, I am here live, so drop your questions, or as I'm here now, so you can see what I'm trying to do. I'm marking it so you can see the curve. Okay. Yes. So it's a neck dart, so we'll take out inches from the neckline. Okay. Please, could just summarize in a minute. Okay, don't worry, Helen, I'll do that. Okay, I'll do that. Thank you so much. Yes, I will summarize everything. What we're actually doing, a we're learning how to cut a bustier with a keyhole. Okay, so we started by drafting out the back pattern. So the back was actually a basic bodice. So now after that, we have all of our lines. So this is the front piece. We are just starting. So this is our shoulder line, this is our bust point line, which is this point, and then this is the under bust line, and then this is the half cut line. Okay, so these are all the lines. So now for us to continue, we need to take out 2 inches of that. So to take out that 2 inches of that, because we're doing the neck dart, if you take a look at the picture, it's the neck dart that was done. So our 2 inches dart, we're going to divide it into two parts. If it was a shoulder dart, we'll put the 2 inches on one side, but since it is a neck dart, we divided the dart. That's our what do you call it? Our dart intake. We divided it into two. So we'll put 1 inch on this left and then put 1 inch on the right. So that's where we got to. So now we're going to come to the top point. So for the top point, we're going to take 1 inch to the right. Okay, yes, like this, and then half of an inch to the left. So this is, like I normally tell you people, this is like the easiest and simplest bustier for a beginner. If you don't want to disturb your brain, just stick to this bustier. Okay, so you can see I'm placing my pattern curve. Yes, I'm placing it so that I'll be able to navigate my curve nicely. Oh, something shook that point. There's something there. Like, jeez, it made my line not to be straight. Something is actually there. I don't know what it is. So you can see, and then the half of an inch, I'll place my pattern curve like this. So if you don't have pattern curve, you can use your hand. Oh. For a long time, I was using my hand. Just look for something that can do it properly. So you don't really need to disturb yourself. Okay. Yes. Okay, the difference between neck dart and shoulder dart. Yes, the difference between the neck dart and shoulder dart is that neck dart is straight. You find that there are some patterns, when you take a look at them, you see that the dart, that's the bustier, the dart came straight, as in like from here like this, it came straight, as in straight, very straight like this. It come straight through your bust, your nipple line, and then it comes down. But shoulder dart, if you are cutting a shoulder dart, you find out that the cut, that's your curve, comes from here. This is not a princess dart, but this is a shoulder dart. So it comes like this from the neck line like this. You can see it comes with a curve, but neck dart is straight. Neck dart will come straight, while shoulder dart will come from the neck like this, why princess that will come from this point like this. Okay, so these are the difference. So most times when you see a dress, when your customer, when they give you a dress, you already know, once you take a look at it, you will know the pattern to use. So for all of them, this is like the easiest one. Then the second one that is easy also is the shoulder dart. Then the third one is the princess dart that you have to take from the armhole area like this and then bring it. So it is, all of them are beautiful bustier dart patterns to use. Okay. All right. So now let's continue now. So the next thing we want to take out now, want to take out our full body measurement. But before we take out our full body measurement, for this down part, I'm not going to take out, for this down part, I'm just going to mark my, I'm going to connect it like this. Okay. Yes, I'm going to connect it like this. So what the inches that I'm taking out for that dart on that point is going to be like just like half of an inch. So this is okay. This will help give the dress perfect fit. Okay, so the next thing now, I hope you are clear on that, Dicta. Okay, yes, I hope you are clear. If you are not clear, please let me know. I'll continue. Okay, let's see. Mandy, is the 2 inches standard for the dart intake? Please, yes. If you are doing a shoulder dart, yes, 2 inches is like standard. But at times you can manipulate it like me. Most times I can manipulate it. I can even use like 3 inches for the dart if I want to still do a neck dart. Why? But standard, as in like the standard, use 2 inches. That's a standard measurement. But me, if I'm working with somebody that is busty and I want to do a neck that I can use 3 inches, I'll put 1 inch on this side and then put my 2 inches on this side. So remember, this is 2 inches. So just imagine if you are doing 2 inches like this now, you see that the bust, the cups will be bigger because the person's bust actually is bigger. So with that, once you come like this, once you navigate your curve like this, your curve comes this way and then comes like this. So you have bigger room here. So you can actually use 3 inches, but 2 inches is just like the standard measurement. But 3 inches for bust of like 40 above, you can use 3 inches. Just put 1 inch on the side and then on this middle, and then bring the other 2 inches to this side. It will still work perfectly well. Okay. All right. So let's see difference. Okay, I've answered Victor, I've answered your question. Okay, Mandy, I think I've answered your question. Cool. Okay, Helen, I've answered your own. So let's continue. Okay, so now let's take out our full body measurement. So for our full body measurement, the first measurement we're going to take out now is our shoulder measurement. So for this, our shoulder is 15. So when you divide 15 into, how many inches did I use just now? I think I know it's 15. So 15, that's 7.5. I'll mark it. If anybody can remember, please let me know. 7.5. So you divide 15 into 2, have 7.5. And then I'm just going to add, remember these 2 inches, bring it back into your pattern, please. Okay, it's 1.5. This one was 1 inch, and then this is half. Okay, remember. So after marking, this is my 7.5 inches. I'll add this 1.5 back. So this is 1.5 back. And then I'll add my stitching allowance. Very important. So your stitching allowance. Remember, I use 1.5 inches then for my stitching allowance. So I'll mark it there. Okay. So from this point, I'm just going to come down by half of an inch, and then I'll float that into this part. So our yoke, we are going to be drafting our yoke inside this part. So because of this dart outtake, it will make help our yoke for it not to gape. So I'll show you how to actually transfer the yoke to another pattern paper. Okay, yes. So now let's continue. So from this point now, we're going to take our armhole, which is 15, divide that 15 into 2, you mark it that way, and then you are going to curve. Yes, so I'm just trying to look for the right, to position my, so I'll mark it this way, and then I'll take half of that armhole measurement. Okay, so I'll mark it now. So on this part now, come in by quarter of an inch, just quarter of an inch. It's not up to half, okay? And then on this part, you take your bust measurement. So our bust is 36. When you divide 36 into 4, we're going to have 9 inches. Note this line, we're going to use this line, okay? It's going to serve as our chest line. Please note. So let me just extend it before we continue. So let's extend it because this is very important if you are doing for your, what do you call it, for your keyhole, very important. So that's line, you extend it. But in case you want your this part, that's that this, let me show you guys on our picture. Okay, see, can you guys see? So in case you want this part, you see this straight line down, in case you want it to be deeper, you can come down. You understand? So you can actually measure and then bring your armhole, bring it down a little bit. You don't necessarily need to bring your armhole. All you are going to do is after this, you are just going to come down maybe by 1 inch, and then you mark that line, rule it to this end. So it will help you to navigate your bust. That's your curve, okay? But if you don't want that, if you want something modest like this, that everything covers and then it's still well covered and your keyhole still comes out, just do this normal one like this, okay? So this line will serve as our bust line, so as our chest line, sorry. So that's our armhole line. So now I'll mark my 9 inches, which is 36, divide by 4. I'll mark it here. So when I cut, I'm going to lose some inches here, so I'll put that into consideration. I'll bring that back, and then I'm going to add my allowance. So once I mark my allowance, so most times if you have been following me, you notice that I like to add enough of allowance on my pattern when I'm drafting. It has helped me a lot. It has really helped me not to run helter skelter when it comes to dress, when it comes to any adjustment whatsoever. So now I'm trying to navigate my curve for my armhole, okay? Yes, so I've marked my armhole. Yes, so the next thing now, this line here, and I'm going to bring it down. Okay, yes, I'll bring it down to my chest, to my bust point line. And then the next line I have here, now this is my bust line. So the next line I have here now is my under bust line. So that under bust line, I use 30. So 30 divided by 4, we have 7.5. So we'll mark 7.5. Remember our 2 inches. We actually took out that of 2 inches, yes, from this point. So please, I just want to double check. So bring back that 2 inches back into your pattern, and then you now add your allowance, please, or else add your allowance back, okay, for your add the allowance back for the stitching. So when I do that, I just want to, sorry guys, I need to double check this. So 30 inches, yes, which is 7.5, and then I brought back 2 inches for my dart intake. This is 2 inches. I'll mark it here. So it got a little bit truncated, and then I'll mark my 2 inches or 1.5 inches, depends on how many inches that thing almost fell, depends on how many inches that. So I'll mark it from this point like this, okay? Yes, so the next measurement we are going to mark is our waist. So our waist, so for the waist measurement, we use 32. So 32 divided by 4, we have 8 inches. So when I cut this part, I'm going to lose like 1 inch. So I'll bring back that 1 inch into my pattern, and then I'm going to add my stitching allowance. Okay, so for this down part, I can add 2.5 inches allowance. So it depends on you, okay? So I'll take my pattern curve like this. So it depends on what the shape that you want to give to the down part of your bodies, okay? Depends on the shape. If you want to curve this new shape these days, if you want to curve it, you curve it. If you don't want to curve it, if you just want to mark it like this, so that is why you need all this pattern curve, okay? So now we are going to work on our keyhole now, okay? So to work on the keyhole now, what we are going to do, so you are going to, when you want to make a keyhole, I have a long question up there on the screen. Let's see. Okay. It's okay. I would like to ask when the armhole is divided into two and you're going by half inch to connect to the armhole. Can someone still use 1 inch instead? Ah, I really did not understand this question now. Let's say I would like to ask when the armhole is divided into two. Okay. That's on this part is divided into two. Okay. And you are going by half inch to connect to the armhole. Can someone still use 1 inch instead? If you use 1 inch, 1 inch will be too big. Is it not this coming in you are talking about? Please let me know if it's this coming in you're talking about. Use half of an inch. It's just for you to trim it, because if you go in by 1 inch it might be too big, so it's better for you when after sewing, when you are doing your final trimming, for you to retrim it. With that it will be easier and better. Okay, but let me know if this is what you mean, this half inch you are saying, if we can use 1 inch. Okay, all right, so now let's continue. So when you want to do this, you are going to consider, so all of this, so when you are doing this, make sure take a look at the kind of keyhole that you have. Okay, yeah, so when you take a look at the kind of keyhole, the first thing for this type now, the first thing we're going to add is our neckline. So for the neckline, the top neckline, if you notice, it has a neckline on top. So that neckline, we're going to use 3 inches, so we use 3 inches, and then that 3 inches is going to be like 3 by like 1 or 1.5. If you notice, it is a high neckline, so let's use 1.5. You can use 2 inches. Okay, you can use 2 inches. So now I'm going to mark that round neckline. So you can see, if you notice, the neckline is very high, so you can use 1 inch, or sorry, you can use 1.5 or 2 inches. So after that, the next thing you are going to do now is for us to mark our armhole. So for us to mark our for us to mark our keyhole. So for us to mark our keyhole, if you notice, this down part is straight. So what you are going to do, you are going to determine from this point like this now, you are going to come to this neckline area. You are going to determine this part. You see this part here now, this gap. How many inches do you want? Okay. So, okay, dicta, yes. So use half of an inch. Don't use 1 inch. If you use 1 inch, it might truncate this part so much. You understand? So use half of an inch. It's better for you to use one half of an inch. But if it's somebody that is really big, you can use don't use 1 inch. Just use one and half. That's 0 point. That's this is what I'm trying to do. Instead of 1 inch, you can use 0.75. Okay. Yes. So you can actually do that. So from this point now, you are going to determine how wide do you want that part to be. So this is 3 inches. So that 3 inches, you are going to determine, this is 3 inches. So this 3 inches now is on this center part. Okay. So when you mark that 3 inches on this center part, what you are going to do, you are going to, on this side, you are going to come down a little bit. On the center part, you mark 3 inches. On this part like this, you are going to determine how many inches, depends on where you want that thing to, that curve, where you want it to terminate. If you notice, it is almost terminating at this point like this. Okay, so this is what you will do. So I'm just trying to use dotted lines. I'm going to use my pattern curve, but why I'm using dotted lines is because of the people that will not have pattern curve. Okay, so you can come like this. So this is your 3 inches. In case you want it bigger, do you understand? In case you want it bigger, we use 3 inches on this part. In case, okay, maybe you want to use 2.5, you can come up by 2.5 and then just like create an arc. Let it like run into this point like this of your armhole. Okay. So after doing this, you're going to take your pattern curve. So for those of you that don't have pattern curve, that is why I used my arm. That's why I used this. So I'm looking for the best way to place my pattern curve. It's always good for you to use dotted lines like this, okay? This pattern curve is not. Mhm. So you curve it into that point like that. So when you curve it into that point, the next thing now, we are done. So we're going to start cutting. Okay, so this you have to put it into consideration before you do this. So let me cut out this side first. So I'm going to show you the yoke. I'll use that pattern paper to cut out the yoke for you guys. Okay, so because we've already added that, so because we have already added that, this will help, it will make it easier for us. Okay, so now what we want to do now, we want to cut out. I'm looking for the best way for us to cut this. Okay, yes, so this is our yoke now. On this part is going to. So when you are cutting this, please cut it this way. Just cut it. You can cut it this way. Okay, and then so on this part now, if you want to come up, you can come up just like I explained. On this part, in case you want to put design on this your chest part, let me just show you guys. You know those kind of those design. In case you just want to put any design, you can. You understand? So you can just like create a design here, or you come down. That's this part is not going to be straight. You can just like curve this like this. You understand? So this will give your keyhole, you know those ones that used to have curves. So I'm just, this is just by the way. Okay, this is by the way. So this one is the one that we are doing. So when you are cutting this, don't cut it on the exact line, come up. Okay, and then you cut it. And then the next thing now, we're going to open up our pattern. So open up our pattern this way. So now we have opened up our pattern. The next thing now, for this yoke, what I'm going to do now, I need to open this yoke up. Okay, so but before I open this yoke up, or another thing that we can do, I can just close my yoke like this. So let me cut it and tape it back. It's better that way. So when I want to cut now this neckline, I'm going to come in a little bit. Okay, so note this is going to serve as my yoke, but I'm going to transfer it back another into another paper. So I just want to show you guys. So I want to tape this down. So it's still not big enough. My pattern, Sisi, you're welcome. My oga at the top. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So guys, like, okay. So I finished cutting. So I, like I said, actually lost the connection. So this is the original yoke. So let me just explain it. So this is the original yoke. So now when you want to transfer your yoke now, after taking out your, you remember our dart for our neck, the neck dart, after cutting out the neck dart, this is what you will have. So you place this back on top of another pattern paper like this. So this time around now, because you are going to stitch it together, you place it on top of another pattern paper and then you cut. So when you are cutting, add extra allowance to it, okay? Yes, add extra allowance to it. So that's what I was trying to explain before this our internet. I don't know whether internet people are still on strike in Nigeria. So you now cut it out. So you cut it, place that on another fresh pattern paper. All right, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, you place that on another pattern paper, and then at the end of the day, this is our yoke. So you can see this is how it looks like. So this part flushes with this point, and then you are going to have this when you stitch. Okay. So can you see? All right. Can you see? So I'm just trying to show you guys how this will look like. So thank you so much. I'm going to stop the tutorial here right now. So I'm going to wait for just like 2 minutes in case, excuse me, in case I'm going to have any question. All right. In case I'm going to have any question. Okay. Okay. Okay, that's for the future. All right, sister. Thank you so much. Yes, so you guys can see, you can see what we have here. So you can see this is our keyhole. So this is our keyhole blouse, our keyhole bustier blouse. So thank you so much, guys. Everyone that tuned in for our tutorial today. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you that tuned in. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. All right. So nobody's asking questions. So I take it that it is on it was or it is understood. Okay, guys. So thank you so much. I will see you guys in my next class. Okay. Yes. And that class will be hopefully just before weekend. Okay. So I'm just still trying to wait to see if anybody will ask any question before I go up. But other than that, you can just drop your questions on the comment section. Okay. So I'll see you guys next. Bye bye. Let's end the stream.